everyone saying Annabelle escaped. Did Annabelle really escape the Warren Occult Museum in Monroe, Connecticut? Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. The video that we're going to be doing today is we're going to be talking about the infamous Raggedy Ann doll Annabelle. There has been some rumors going around about how she escaped from the Warren's Occult Museum up in Monroe, Connecticut. I'm here today to tell you the story behind Annabelle and if she's really escaped or not. Just jumping back into some history, the story of Annabelle started in 1970. Her mother had bought Annabelle as a birthday gift for her 28-year-old daughter, and that daughter was just so overwhelmed and she was just so happy to receive this gift from her mother. It had such sentimental value to her, my bad. It had such sentimental value to her that she went home right away back to her apartment with where she lived with her roommate, and she had propped the doll, the Raggedy Ann doll, onto her bed. Her name is Donna. So Donna was putting Annabelle up on display, in a way I guess you could say, on display in her room. She had propped her up on her bed, and shortly after she had welcomed the Raggedy Ann doll into her home, she started seeing little possessions, if you want to call it. When I say possessions, what I mean is it started with just little movements here and there. The doll would move from one position to the other. She would come home to find the doll with her arms crossed, even her legs crossed sometimes, standing up, propped up, and then it started getting more and more and more and more worse. Well, it started progressing basically, and how it started progressing was she would come home to find the doll, the Raggedy Ann doll, in a completely different room than where she had left her before she left. That kind of, you know, spooked Donna and her roommate a little bit, but not enough to go ahead and call for help yet. Then it got more and more worse. It just kept progressing and progressing and progressing. The more that they tried to ignore signs of like a possession or a haunting, the more it got worse. And something that you guys should know about demonic hauntings and stuff like that is that a demonic spirit does not possess inanimate objects, as in homes and or toys, stuff like that. What it does is it latches on to these objects and kind of manipulates them and moves them around and stuff like that, just to get recognition, like, hey, I'm here, stop ignoring me, I'm real type thing. That's kind of like what was going on. And they started finding parchment paper with notes written on them, and the notes, Donna and her roommate said, looked like they were written by a little child. And the notes chilled them because they had a male friend who used to spend the night, and his name was Lou, L-O-U. If I'm saying that wrong, I'm so sorry, but his name was Lou. And the parchment papers used to say, well, they used to read, help me, help us, help Lou. Like, what the hell? So yes, that kind of like was starting to scare them a little, but they still didn't do anything until one night that Lou had stayed over. He said that he had woken up and he rolled over to see this Raggedy Ann doll staring at him in his sleep, and he felt like he was choking, like he was suffocating, and it got to the point where the asphyxiation completely blacked him out. And when he blacked out, he said he woke up in the morning and he just thought it was a dream, but he felt so, like, it felt so real to him. Waking up and then being strangled by a Raggedy Ann doll, who is that not gonna creep out? You feel me? Like, that is gonna creep anybody and everybody out. I don't care who you are, you're gonna get creeped out. Finally, the roommates and Lou ended up saying, you know what, enough is enough. We're gonna call a medium. So they called the psychic medium over to the apartment, and the medium ended up saying that yes, it's true, there is a spirit of a little girl, 7-year-old girl, who had died on the land before the apartment complex were built. And that 7-year-old girl's name was Annabelle Higgins, which is how this Raggedy Ann doll got the name Annabelle, because Donna and her roommate ended up feeling kind of like sad for this little girl, because the little girl was kind of like telling the medium, like, you know, I feel safe here, I feel comfortable, I want to stay here with Donna and her roommate, I don't want to leave, I want to be here, I feel happy. So Donna made the mistake and she gave Annabelle permission to live inside the doll. It only took a few weeks for them to learn that she had made a big mistake. And when I say that, it's because stuff got worse. And one example is that Lou has spent the night again, and this time, well, no, I'm sorry, backtrack. I'm lying. Lou and Donna's roommate came back to the apartment one day and heard rustling coming from Donna's room, like from behind Donna's door. And Lou basically told the roommate, like, hey, stay right here, I'm gonna go check and see what that is, because he thought, and it sounded like it was intruders, like human intruders, so he wanted to go investigate and figure out what was going on. He creeped over to Donna's door, and when he did, he slowly, well, he waited until there was no more noise coming from the door, and when he did that and it was completely silent in the room, he opened the door to find Annabelle, the doll, to find Annabelle basically tossed across the room, and she was laying on the floor in the corner, like in the corner of the room. And he was just like, what the hell? So he kept wanting to like see if there was anything else, if anything else was moved around, anything else was tossed around, anything was taken, still thinking that there was probably some intruders in the home. As he got closer to Annabelle, he started feeling like something was behind him and something was watching him. So when he turned around to see what was there, he was flushed with the realization that there was nothing there. And then he found himself grabbing onto his chest, and he toppled over to the ground. When he turned over to lay on his back, he said his stomach was burning, and when he looked down at his shirt, there was like blood on his shirt. And he lifted his shirt up to find 7 scratches on his stomach, 3 going up and down and 4 horizontally. And he said that these scratches and cuts were so deep and they burned so bad, it felt like his stomach was on fire. But oddly enough, those scratches went away, as in like completely disappeared, were gone in only 2 days. Now everyone knows a scratch don't last for 2 days, not even if a little nick. No, sorry, that's my farmer's tan, but whatever. Not even a little nick. Like, it takes more than 2 days for a scratch, especially one so deep, to heal. Wanting more answers and wanting, you know, basically to be clear from whatever was going on, Donna and her roommate looked and sought professional help. So professional help as in they sought a priest or a father. And this father contacted Father Cook, who have connections to Ed and Lorraine Warren. Father Cook called Ed and Lorraine Warren, told them about the stuff that was happening in Donna's apartment, and Ed and Lorraine Warren did take interest in it, contacted Donna, and they said that they wanted to help. And Donna, you know, ecstatic, was like, of course, yes, perfect, finally I'm gonna get answers, I'm gonna know what's going on. So Ed and Lorraine Warren came to the house, and they asked Father Cook to perform an exorcism and to cleanse the home, and perform the exorcism on the doll to see if they could get rid of this demonic haunting that's going on. Because, like I was saying earlier, like, demonic spirits don't haunt inanimate objects. Their ultimate goal is to find a human host to latch onto and to fully possess. And Ed and Lorraine Warren said with everything going on, the next step with Annabelle would have been a full-on possession on maybe Donna, maybe Lou, or maybe Donna's roommate. They didn't know. So Ed and Lorraine Warren said that the only way that they can be safe is if they completely remove Annabelle from their possession. And that's what they did. They asked Father Cook to cleanse the spirit and to exorcise Annabelle, so that hopefully, in hopes that this spirit would be gone. But that didn't happen either, because Ed and Lorraine Warren ended up taking Annabelle back home on their drive with them back to their museum in Monroe, Connecticut. And Lorraine Warren was basically telling her husband, you know, I'm not so comfortable. Maybe we should avoid all major highways and all busy intersections. Maybe we should basically take the back roads just in case anything happens. They're not sure. And sure enough, Lorraine Warren was correct, because Annabelle did try to harm them. Every single turn or stop, the car would swerve, it would lose control, and the power steering brakes completely went out. It completely went out. So Ed and Lorraine Warren, obviously scared for their safety, pulled over. Ed reached in the back, grabbed a bottle of holy water, and basically started dousing the Raggedy Ann doll and making a cross in hopes that, you know, everything would stop. And everything did stop. They stopped and they made it home safely. But that's just a little version of how, you know, dangerous this doll really is. And to add on to how dangerous this doll is, an example would be that, you know, they propped up, first of all, they propped up Annabelle in the occult museum, right in the Warren's occult museum in Monroe, Connecticut, and they locked Annabelle in a glass box. There was an Our Father prayer in the back of the box, and they put a tarot card for protection inside the box. And they locked it, and they put signs on the box saying, warning, do not touch and do not open. Like, basically stay away from this. Like, you can look at it, just don't do nothing crazy, right? But of course, there's always those people out there who want to test, who just want to test paranormal. So this dude came to the museum with his girlfriend, and they came by motorcycle. They came to the museum with his girlfriend, and he went to the Annabelle box. And he basically started tapping on the box and taunting to Annabelle, and was like, if you could cut and scratch a man, then why don't you cut me? I want to be cut, I want to be scratched. Basically taunting Annabelle, and was like, you can't do anything, you're a doll anyways, right? Ed Warren saw what was happening and basically told the man, excuse me sir, you need to leave, we don't want this. So he did, he left. But shortly after, he lost control of his motorcycle and went head first into a tree and lost his life. And his girlfriend, who was on the motorcycle with him, was hospitalized for a year. Ed and Lorraine Warren had a son-in-law named Tony Spera, and he also conducted paranormal investigations with Ed and Lorraine, because he was also a paranormal investigator just like them. So, you know, he was kind of like in the family business in a way. And he proceeded to do paranormal investigations with Lorraine Warren after her husband sadly passed away after falling ill. To show and to further provide evidence that Annabelle is a doll not to be messed with, Spera himself had said that out of all the artifacts Ed and Lorraine have collected, Annabelle is the one that he is most terrified of. And keep in mind, Ed and Lorraine Warren have been on over 10,000 paranormal investigations all over the world. I'm talking about Japan, Australia, like all over the world. And for him to be the most afraid of Annabelle, that should really say something. I wouldn't mess with her. That's just me. So the Warren Occult Museum did close in 2018, but Spera is currently looking to reopen it. He doesn't know exactly when he's gonna reopen the museum, but he is looking to reopen the museum pretty soon, hopefully, fingers crossed, because I really want to go. So why is everyone saying Annabelle escaped? Did Annabelle really escape the Warren Occult Museum? Did she escape her glass box that she's been locked up all these years since 1970? Tony Spera did a YouTube video proving that Annabelle did not escape and that she's locked away alive and well in the box, still in the museum. So no, Annabelle did not escape. But the reason why people are going around all this business that Annabelle escaped was because of an actress named Annabelle Wallis. Now, Annabelle Wallis, surely enough, played Mia in the actual movie Annabelle, and she was conducting an interview for her movie that she's starring in with Tom Cruise, The Mummy. I don't know if y'all have heard of it or whatever, but you know, she's starring in the movie with Tom Cruise. She was conducting an interview with a Hollywood reporter, and in the interview she was talking about running, and the Hollywood reporter inserted clips of Annabelle Wallis, the actress, escaping and running away. Social media, obviously, they want drama. It's 2020, like stuff is happening all around. So they took that interview, twisted it up, and said that Annabelle, the possessed Raggedy Ann doll, well, the haunted Raggedy Ann doll escaped, when in reality it wasn't the doll who escaped. It was just actress Annabelle Wallis escaping in one of her scenes, The Mummy. So no, Annabelle did not escape. So everyone could just relax. I could just breathe. Like, no, she did not escape. She's good. It was just a little mix-up with social media and Hollywood, as everything is, you know. And I hope I did put you guys all at ease, because the infamous Annabelle is not on the loose. She is locked away, good and safe. And we're safe. So that's it. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.